You've finally seen through the illusion. You understand that most of what society chases is meaningless. You've awakened to deeper truths about existence, consciousness, and reality itself. So why do you feel nothing? Why has your drive completely vanished? Here's what nobody tells you about spiritual awakening. The moment you stop chasing external validation, you might also stop moving altogether. Studies show that 70% of people who experience profound spiritual insights report a significant drop in motivation within the first year. But here's the twist. What if this emptiness isn't a problem to solve, but a doorway to walk through? What if the very absence of motivation is actually the most important phase of your entire journey? Carl Jung discovered something fascinating about this phenomenon, something that completely changes how we understand post-awakening depression. The question isn't why you've lost motivation, it's what's being born in that sacred emptiness. Are you ready to discover the hidden truth behind your spiritual standstill? Picture this. You've spent your entire life climbing what you thought was the ultimate mountain. Every step was fueled by the promise that reaching the summit would finally give you what you've been seeking: happiness, fulfillment, meaning. You pushed through obstacles, celebrated small victories, and kept your eyes fixed on that peak. Then something extraordinary happened. You awakened. You saw through the veil. And suddenly, you realized something devastating. The mountain was never real. This is the hero's journey interrupted. Joseph Campbell never warned us about this part, did he? What happens when the hero discovers that the quest itself was an illusion? When you realize that everything you thought you wanted, the career success, the perfect relationship, the social status, the material possessions, were just sophisticated distractions from what you already are. Here's where it gets interesting. Your motivation didn't disappear because you became lazy or depressed. It vanished because the entire reward system that drove your previous actions has been exposed as fundamentally hollow. Think about it. How do you motivate someone to chase something they now see as meaningless? It's like trying to get excited about winning a game you've realized is rigged. But here's the question that will change everything. What if losing your old motivation isn't a loss at all? What if it's the most necessary death you'll ever experience? Because when the false mountain disappears, something else becomes visible. Something that was always there, waiting patiently behind the illusion. Can you feel it stirring in that emptiness? That's not depression you're experiencing. That's labor pains. Something authentic is trying to be born. Carl Jung understood something that most spiritual teachers won't tell you. Every light casts a shadow, and awakening is no exception. He called it the shadow of illumination, the dark side of seeing too clearly, too quickly. Jung observed that his most spiritually advanced patients often struggled with what he termed the burden of consciousness. They had seen behind the curtain, but now they had to live with that knowledge. Here's what Jung discovered. Your ego didn't just lose motivation, it experienced a kind of death. For years, maybe decades, your ego was the CEO of your life, making decisions based on what would bring recognition, security, or pleasure. It thrived on comparison, achievement, and external validation, but awakening pulled the rug out from under this entire operating system. Suddenly, the ego found itself unemployed, and with it went all the drive it used to generate. Jung distinguished between two types of motivation: ego-driven ambition and what he called authentic purpose. Ego-driven motivation is like rocket fuel, intense, explosive, but ultimately unsustainable because it's based on lack, fear, and the need to prove something. Authentic purpose, on the other hand, is like a river, steady, natural, and flowing from abundance rather than scarcity. But here's the paradox Jung identified. You can't access authentic purpose while the ego is still running the show. The ego has to step down first, and that stepping down feels like death, because in a very real sense, it is. The version of you that was motivated by external rewards is dying, and something else is waiting to be born. If this resonates with your experience, if you're recognizing yourself in Jung's insights, do me a favor. Hit that like button and subscribe to Mind Revelation. Your engagement tells me you're ready for these deeper truths, and there's so much more to explore together. What Jung realized is that this motivational void isn't a bug in the awakening process. It's a feature. It's the necessary space between who you were and who you're becoming. You know that feeling when you're watching a movie you've already seen, but everyone around you is experiencing it for the first time. They're gasping at plot twists you saw coming, getting emotional about characters you know are just actors, completely absorbed in a story you can see right through. That's your life now, isn't it? You're living in a world that feels like a movie you've already watched, surrounded by people who are still deeply invested in the plot. This is what Jung called the transcendent function, the psychological space between two worlds. You're no longer fully identified with the material realm, but you're not completely detached from it either. You exist in this strange limbo where you can see the game being played, but you still have to participate. You understand that most conversations are just ego positioning disguised as communication, yet you still need to have them. You recognize that most problems people stress about are self-created dramas, but you still live in a society that takes these dramas very seriously. The loneliness is real, isn't it? Not the kind of loneliness that comes from being physically alone, but the existential loneliness of being awake in a sleeping world. You find yourself nodding along to conversations about career ambitions, relationship dramas, and material goals, but inside you're thinking, none of this actually matters. You've become fluent in a language you no longer believe in. But here's what's really happening in this limbo. You're developing what Jung called psychological flexibility, the ability to hold multiple perspectives simultaneously without being trapped by any of them. You can engage with the world's concerns without being consumed by them. You can play the game without forgetting it's a game. This in-between space feels uncomfortable because it is. You're being stretched between two realities, and that stretching is creating something new within you. The question isn't how to escape this limbo, it's how to find grace within it. How do you live authentically in an inauthentic world? What if I told you that your lack of motivation isn't a symptom of something gone wrong, but evidence of something going incredibly right? In medieval alchemy, there was a stage called nigredo, the blackening, the putrefaction, the necessary death that precedes rebirth. The alchemists understood something profound. You cannot transform lead into gold without first dissolving the lead completely. The dissolution isn't the failure of the process. It is the process. Your motivational void is your nigredo. Everything that once drove you, the need for approval, the fear of failure, the hunger for more, is being dissolved in the acid of awareness. This isn't happening to you, it's happening for you. The universe isn't punishing your awakening, it's completing it. Because here's what most people don't understand about transformation. It's not an addition, it's a subtraction. It's not about gaining something new. It's about removing everything that was never truly you. Think about a caterpillar entering the chrysalis. Does it gradually grow wings while keeping its caterpillar body? No. It literally dissolves into primordial soup, a complete breakdown of its previous form before reorganizing into something entirely new. That soup stage, that's where you are right now. You're not a broken caterpillar, you're a butterfly in formation. Jung called this process psychological death and rebirth. He observed that his patients who experienced the deepest transformations always went through a period of complete dissolution first. The ego structure that had organized their previous life had to be dismantled before a more authentic self could emerge. The void you're experiencing isn't empty space. It's pregnant space, full of potential waiting to actualize. But here's the crucial insight. You cannot rush this process. You cannot think your way out of the chrysalis or force the butterfly to emerge faster. The dissolution has its own timeline, its own wisdom. Your job isn't to escape the void, but to trust it, to let it do its alchemical work on you. What wants to be born through this death? Here's where everything shifts. You've been waiting for motivation to return so you can start moving again. But what if that's backwards? What if the new way of being doesn't require motivation at all? What if it operates on something entirely different? Something you've always had but never recognized? The old you was motivated by becoming successful, becoming loved, becoming secure, becoming enlightened. But the awakened you operates from being present, being authentic, being aligned with what's actually here right now. This isn't just philosophical wordplay. It's a fundamental rewiring of how action arises in your life. Think about how a tree grows. Does it wake up each morning motivated to grow? Does it set goals and create vision boards about becoming taller? No. It grows because growth is its nature when conditions are right. It doesn't force. It allows. It doesn't strive. It expresses. This is the shift from ego motivation to soul expression, from pushing life to letting life move through you. Your new purpose isn't something you find out there. It's something that emerges from within when you stop forcing and start listening. It's not about what you can achieve. It's about what wants to be expressed through you. The question changes from what do I want to accomplish to what wants to emerge through me, from how can I get what I want to how can I serve what's trying to happen. If you've made it this far in this journey with me, you're clearly someone who's ready for these deeper truths. I want you to do something right now. In the comments below, write one word that represents what you feel wants to emerge through you. Don't overthink it. Just let the word come. And congratulations for staying with this exploration. Most people turn away when things get this real, but you're here, which means you're ready for what's coming next. This shift from ambition to presence isn't a loss of power. It's an upgrade to a more sustainable, more authentic form of action, one that doesn't burn you out because it's not coming from lack. Now we arrive at the most beautiful paradox of post-awakening life. The moment you stop trying to be motivated, motivation transforms into something entirely different. The ancient Taoists had a term for this, Wu Wei, often translated as effortless action or non-doing. But Wu Wei isn't about becoming passive or lazy. It's about discovering a completely different source of movement, one that flows from alignment rather than ambition. Imagine a master musician playing a complex piece. Are they forcing each note, struggling to remember what comes next, pushing themselves to perform? Or are they in flow, allowing the music to move through them, responding to each moment with natural precision? That's the difference between ego-driven motivation and Wu Wei. One exhausts you, the other energizes you. Here's what's happening in your motivational void. You're transitioning from the exhausting model of making things happen to the sustainable model of letting things happen through you. Your old motivation was like swimming upstream. Lots of effort, constant resistance, eventual burnout. This new way is like floating downstream, still moving, still navigating, but working with the current instead of against it. But how does this look in the modern world? How do you pay bills through Wu Wei? How do you build relationships, create projects, or contribute to society without the driving force of traditional motivation? The answer lies in learning to recognize and follow what the Taoists called the natural impulse, the organic arising of action from a place of alignment rather than agenda. When you're truly aligned, action doesn't feel like work. Ideas come naturally. Opportunities appear synchronistically. Conversations flow effortlessly toward meaningful outcomes. You're not forcing life to bend to your will. You're dancing with life as it unfolds. This isn't magical thinking. It's a different operating system entirely. The question becomes, can you trust this new way of moving through the world? Can you believe that aligned action is actually more effective than forced action? Your old ego is probably screaming, but what if nothing happens? Here's your answer. Something is always happening. The question is whether you're fighting it or flowing with it. So here we are, at the end of this journey together, and I want you to feel something profound. You are not broken. You never were. That absence of motivation you've been carrying like a burden, it's actually been your greatest teacher, your most faithful guide through the most important transformation of your life. You've been mourning the death of who you used to be, not realizing you've been witnessing the birth of who you truly are. Carl Jung spent his entire career studying this exact phenomenon, the sacred pause between death and rebirth, the holy emptiness that precedes authentic emergence. He discovered that the people who tried to rush back to their old motivation, who fought against this void, remained stuck in patterns that no longer served them. But those who surrendered to the process, who honored the emptiness as sacred space, they emerged as completely different beings, not better or worse, but authentically themselves for perhaps the first time in their lives. Your spiritual awakening didn't take your motivation away. It revealed that your old motivation was never truly yours to begin with. It was borrowed from a world that taught you to chase external validation, to find worth through achievement, to measure success by society's broken metrics. The void you've been experiencing isn't the absence of purpose. It's the clearing away of false purpose to make room for what's real. Here's what I want you to understand as we close. This period of your life, this motivational winter, is not a detour from your path. It is your path. Every moment of confusion, every day of feeling lost, every night of wondering if you'll ever feel driven again, all of it has been preparing you for something extraordinary. You've been composting your old self to fertilize your authentic self. The invitation now is simple but profound. Stop waiting for motivation to return and start noticing what wants to emerge. Stop trying to resurrect who you used to be and start midwifing who you're becoming. The world doesn't need another person driven by ego and ambition. The world needs you, the real you, operating from presence, authenticity, and aligned action. Your awakening was never meant to make you comfortable. It was meant to make you real. Welcome to your real life.